Just take one hit. Don't you want to be cool?
Gather round everyone. The show's about to begin.
Turn on, tune in, drop out, this show's amazing. It's Super Lemon Haze, you know them boys always blazing. Put one in the air, fill your glass and get to raising. Kirkman praising, school flag waving. Chopping up the topics instead of choking on some chronic. Scott and Eric breaking it down like 21st century prophets. Eyes glazed and minds dazed, it's knowledge they convey. Roll up and consume the Super Lemon Haze.
Super Lemon Haze.
Going to ask you several questions.
Super Lemon Haze.
How do you feel?
I feel like a slice of butter melting on top of a big old pile of flapjacks. Yeah.
Super Lemon Haze, motherfuckers. Solo tonight. Scott's still in Maine, and due to the failure of our last attempt to go live, I'm going to go solo tonight. So Scott will be back coming the next episode. Tonight we have an interesting guest coming on, someone that has caused a little bit of controversy in the medical marijuana space, or I should say more of the social equity space, for calling out some key players who have, I guess, in effect, caused some personal harm to him. So tonight we're just going to get to know him, though. We're not going to really address any of his claims. So we're just going to go cruising through who makes up Maur. Maur, I see you. Give me 1 second. What's up?
What's going on, bro?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Good. How you doing?
We're doing good. Hanging in there. How was your 4th? How was your holiday?
Good. I didn't do much, man. Just family time, you know.
Yeah.
I think the kids, we went out to the mall for a little bit.
Nice.
And they wanted to do that, my daughter, you know.
Yeah, well, that's a change of pace, right? I mean, that's been closed for so long, so.
Yeah, that's her favorite pastime is getting to the mall, her and my wife. So, you know, they was able to go do that, and you know.
Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. You know, this is a big one for me. I'll tell you, Maur. You know, we're again, this show is pretty young. You know, we've only been going at this for about 6 months, and you know, we've gone through this roller coaster ride. You know, just because it seems we got into this just wanting to talk about weed and like give recommendations for friends. All of a sudden, it just became a very complicated picture of where marijuana stands in the state. You know, we try not to go too globally. You know, we want to stay local because obviously there is so much action going on. But every conversation that we had just kept leading to another conversation, and it just seems like as we sort of step back, there's like this huge tangled web, and everyone at some point seems to have been in touch with one another, and then due to some differences or space or whatever, everyone's just kind of like doing their own thing, but with one common goal. And that to me has always seemed to be, how do we take advantage of and how do we use marijuana to its pure and greatest potential? That's really what it always comes down to, the same theme.
Yes, it's real complex, man. So it's always been a complex thing for myself. You know, it's been a weird thing, you know, for Black folks to use marijuana. I've been a pothead for a long time. I'm a diehard pothead, and I'm kind of real old school, a little naive, thinking that hey, if we smoke pot together, we'll get along. Everybody, I promise you, you know. So you know, I've been a pothead since the 90s, 1993. I started smoking, and the landscape is real. It's different. Anything important, you know, anything worth having is worth fighting for. So it's definitely something to me to get in this industry. To me, this is like the gold mines, you know, 49er days. You know, this is a cash crop, and you know, I'm here to fight for it. You know.
So let me spell this out a little bit. So you were a recreational user for a number of years, mostly just having fun with it, and then at some point you decided this might be a viable business choice or career option for me.
No, I think I was always a medical user. I started using at 13. I was experiencing traumatic stress. I was experiencing trauma and self-medicating. So I was always self-medicating. We saw with the recent crisis how essential cannabis is, and you're talking about, uh, black folks dealing with white supremacy and that type of trauma, I definitely believe my use was medical. I believe, I was self-medicating. A lot of people are self-medicating.
So you saw some success then using marijuana as a potential treatment for some of the PTSD. What did you make? What effects did it make you feel that were sort of reducing some of those feelings, sensations, symptoms?
Well, back in the days, it made me real loving. It made me real peaceful. Now, it's the same thing, has the same effect, but I was a lot wilder back then, and instead of wilding out, it made me want to be peaceful, be peaceable,
Yeah.
to deal with that trauma. I was a child soldier in the 90s. I was charged as an adult in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
So, my whole mentality was war. Our mentality was war. I was in a little gang, a little clique. My team, I was being followed by federal government. Then I was on the gang task force. They had a gang task force who they was following and folks and stuff. So, that was it was a way for me to cope and such. So yeah, it definitely was a medical thing. And now as an adult man with a family, oh my God, my family wants to make sure that I smoke. They be like, hey, have you smoking? You haven't smoking yet? You may need
Yeah.
smoke or something.
You're talking about me? Yeah, oh, see, they're saying that to you.
Yeah, because you're not as, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 40, man.
No, we're the same age.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think, and do you have any kids?
I got 3.
Okay, yeah. So you're not nice all the time.
You got it. No, what I was saying is
nice. You're not as nice all the time. I used to be real cool. I used to be like the Fonz, man. I used to be cool. I used to be real cool. I promise you, I was so cool.
Yeah, well, it's funny you bring up the medical piece too, because I was somewhat of a prohibitionist for a very long time. So it took me a while to really understand and to truly, I guess, to appreciate the positive effects of marijuana. And I got my medical card just as recent as like this past spring. So I've been trying to kind of use it in a much more, I guess, prescribed kind of way. Like I'm really trying to focus on, how much I'm using and sort of the milligrams and things like that. But that's really just the way that I think. But my family does, in fact, say to me at times, hey, dude, like, you know where your pen is right now? Because you need to hit that real fast.
Yeah. So you were 80s baby too, huh?
I was born in 78, so I'm actually a little bit older than you. So
okay, 78. All right.
Yeah, but so I came from a very different background, I think, from you. I grew up in the suburbs of Philadelphia, kind of, middle of the area, just kind of middle class. But I grew up in farm fields basically, and I came to Boston just for school, for education, and I've been here ever since, just because I sort of fell into the medical community, and that's kind of been my path, and I've stayed here ever since, just for that reason. And obviously I set some pretty thick roots here with my children and my family and everyone else. So
how long have you been in Boston?
Well, now 20 years, because I came here for college. So I mean, I'm 40, actually more than 20 years to think about it. But again, it's interesting because we fell into this dialogue, and we kept having guest after guest, all different types of people, right? People who are advocates, people who are activists, people who are in the business. And I think that, I guess maybe due to some of the recent energies, I guess a lot of the activists and talking about racism in marijuana, especially in Massachusetts, it's just been, there's been a huge spotlight obviously on it, especially on the web, on social media. And I'm just reading. And, that's kind of how I came up across your name, and that I had Chief on. And it's sort of it came from the same place, it came from just connections, but all of a sudden, it's like this just common, like, I don't know, this energy, and I'm just picking it up. What do you got there? Oh, you got some Purient there. Nice.
Gotta give this bad boy a whirl this weekend.
Good for you.
Me and the missus will give you a report on that.
Please do. You know, I have yet to make my purchase because I haven't gone back since I last spoke to Chief, but it's on my list. So the next time I go, that's definitely going to be purchased. I heard that's some pretty hot stuff though. His wife Lee was going crazy. She was talking about that stuff like it was her baby, and I think she really believes it, man.
He said, take it slow now. He said, take it slow, buddy. I said, okay. I said, okay, all right. I was like, oh shoot, I'm about to see what's this about. You know. And so my wife's not a big smoker, you know, she's a light user. Yeah. So he's like, take it slow, take it easy, whatever.
Right. So you guys, you and your wife, is your wife Cynthia?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you and Cynthia, did you eventually start getting interested in getting involved in the advocacy piece, or was it the business side? What were you trying to accomplish when getting involved in the marijuana?
Just the business aspect. I didn't come here to be an advocate. I didn't come here to be an advocate on any level, but my whole life, you know, I've been thrust into advocacy. Simple and plain, you know. I've always been like some type of rebel, either without a cause or with a cause. So, you know, here I am again, you know, marijuana advocacy, but you know, to me, it's a worthy cause. It's $1 billion industry. So I'm gonna fight for a $1 billion industry. You know, my goal is to have a cannabis business every place I was arrested for cannabis. I was arrested in Ohio, California. Well, I wasn't arrested in California, but Georgia, New York, you know, had a scare in California, but you know.
Yeah. So did some of those experiences sort of shape your, I mean, because Chief said this, and he looked at it almost as a form of reparations, right? For getting involved in the into the marijuana space. Do you look at getting involved in marijuana then as just kind of like, hey, you know, it took away a lot from my life. It caused me a lot of personal hurt or injury. I think it's, you know, I want to get involved in this because I feel like I just want to do it. It's just sort of change the course.
Well, because I'm a pothead. I'm an enthusiast. My first time I was arrested for sale was in 1994. I was arrested for sale to a cop in Massachusetts in 2016. So, you know, I've been selling marijuana always. So, but I think it's a bigger thing than that. This is the war on drugs. I think America needs to take this serious because it's bigger than just marijuana. So we don't want to just put this all on the marijuana industry. But they directed an entire war at people. And, you know, I was one of those people who felt the brunt of that. And it was a lot. I'm privileged, if you ask me. I have friends that never left the block we was on who are still suffering from what they was doing to us in the 90s. And what they were doing to us was treating us so predatory. We developed this characteristic of monsters. And we believe we are the monsters. And we believe we are these predators that they tell us we are. And they didn't give us a place in education. And I think they're still doing the same thing today. You know, here it is, this educational institution is constantly telling children that they're failing them. And it's not the other way around, you know. So these institutions are purposely failing children and pushing them out into the streets, into these environments and stuff. So
your involvement in marijuana, was it trying to like kind of, because it sounds to me like your experience up until like the 90s has been bad, right? Pretty traumatic. So it seems to me that wouldn't you want to just steer away from it, but it sounds to me like you're attracted to it. So I guess I'm just curious to know what's attracting you to stay in it.
Well, my experience, you could say it was bad because of all the things and maybe on paper. And when I tell you the things that happened to me because of marijuana,
yeah,
you could say it's bad, but it's a love affair. Since like I tell you, I started smoking weed at 13, and at 14 I was arrested and I was charged as an adult. As soon as I got out, I started smoking weed again. Like I never stopped smoking weed. There were gaps where I stopped smoking, but it's always been a love affair. But because of that love affair in the Black community, the love affair you have with marijuana, you're a thug now.
Yeah.
So I had to live this thug life because of the marijuana thing. But no, I think it's a repertory act, but I think it needs to be part of a bigger act because it was a war directed at this community. So there needs to be wartime aid. When we blew up Hiroshima or when we blew up a country, you know, we wage war on a country. After we rebuild that country afterwards,
Yeah.
And what we're saying is the black community, they waged this war against the black community, partly and do a lot of it was marijuana, but just because of our skin color, like, it would be a different reason if it wasn't marijuana. As you can see, we're still being mass incarcerated in Massachusetts for marijuana, partly because the laws on the books never changed.
Who do you look up to in this industry right now? Who is your role model?
I would have to say it would have to be Chief, man.
Yeah.
He's a big factor in the industry for me because of what I just showed you. I don't know what I just did with his product, but
I got it.
to me, this is major, man. This is the first black product on the shelves. I don't know many products on the shelves. My desire, I look to people who do things that are someplace where I want to be at. And this brother got a product on the shelf. So, you might see me with some type of thing on the shelf, pertaining to these things. But, I think that's very inspirational. It's not many of us in the industry. So, this brother, I've been able to talk to him. He's been able to help me, guide me through this, the process and stuff, in a lot of different ways. And, just getting some tutelage from him. He's been a part of this industry, before I wasn't a part of, I guess, this part of the cannabis industry. I was on the outskirts or whatever have you. But in terms of the advocacy in the beginning and all these other things that, these groups were doing, I wasn't a part of that. So,
is your goal to get involved into the cannabis as with the product you're saying, or do you plan on going through like the licensure process and potentially even open up a storefront?
I want to have it all. I want to have products. I want to have multiple integrations in this state. I want to have multiple integrations in other states. I want to have it all. I want to have products, everything. I want to have lounges, all of that.
Chief was also a lounge guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, yep. I feel like this is a part of. Yes, it is owed to us, but it's just a part of something I would be doing regardless, and I want to do it at a major level. I think it's a farce to have white people, white men, white individuals participating on $1 billion level, and then black folks not be able to do that and not want to do that. So I don't have any problem with black folks or any folks who want to participate in a small level, on a co-op level or whatever level. But I'm not here to do that. I'm here to be as major as I can be and to accept any guidance and tutelage I can get to do that.
So when you said like co-op, you mean working together with other corporations, other companies to get something on the market? What did you mean with the co-op?
I think a co-op model is more of a service model. I don't see too many successful models of co-ops in Massachusetts. And it's more of a community model. You have to have a community. You have to be a community. You have to be able to organize groups of people behind that. So, and I think there's that for everybody. But I think the reason why I said that is because it seems to be this push on us to do co-ops and to do micro businesses and such, and all these other things.
What are you doing right now to prepare you for what's to come? So where's your direction? Where's your energy heading at this point?
Well, I had to take if you've been following what I'm doing, we have to take a stronger leadership role, I guess, in actually looking at policy. My wife's background is in policy and in some advocacy stuff, and just so we have to take responsibility of our own program, social equity programs, economic empowerment programs. And so my goal is to shape the industry and to actually gain a power structure for Black and brown individuals in the industry, and that's through economics, not through trying to beg folks and stuff like that. So here it is, the opportunity. They're going to give us this economic lift. They're going to give us this economic push into the industry, so we can set ourselves up and set everybody else up who wants to get in the industry. And I think that's a beautiful thing,
So was there one point where you were heading in the direction of potentially getting involved in the business side, but then there was like a moment where you switched and all of a sudden went into this more fighting mode? Was there something that happened?
No, it's simultaneously. I'm actually doing both. I'm actually doing business and advocacy. Like I told you, I've been forced to do this. There was no advocacy for us, and we didn't have the money to lobby and do the big lobbying and stuff. We're organizing ourselves in such a way to do that now, but at the time we didn't. So all we had was the position that we were given. this economic empowerment status, which we were supposed to get priority status and such through.
Yeah. So who's we? You keep saying we. So who are you organizing with? Who's
Other EEs and SEs, but I'm mostly probably me and my wife. You know,
Yeah.
I can't speak for too many other people, but my wife.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I guess it's funny because like that's what I'm finding is that like everyone seems to be dividing up into these little cliques, even within the SC or the EE communities. Like everyone's kind of, I don't know if it's taking sides, but maybe just people are having some philosophical differences, and maybe
Well,
even and also maybe even the approaches to make change happen.
well, we had leadership, which was for the last 2-3 years we had leadership, and we just had, it was singular. These people were saying, hey, we're leading the social equity and we're leading the economic empowerment. And that leadership failed us. My wife and I, we uncovered a whole bunch of stuff with that leadership.
Do you want to name who the leadership is, or is it a person? Is it a group? It's a cause? What's
Groups of individuals, because people like these individuals, so I don't want to too much get into too many people's names. But
okay, you go right ahead then.
The people leading on social equity and economic empowerment.
Gotcha.
And it was a small group of folks. And we tied them, if in those reports, we tied them to corporations that were benefiting in Massachusetts. So, so we kind of pretty much, I had to forge a lane, my wife and I.
Yeah.
We created a lane, and I don't think people were comfortable with black folks creating a lane for themselves. So we have a lane to get into the industry business wise, and you see our reports, and we're going to be doing some things behind the scenes, possibly litigating and such. But that's the lane that we created. So now you have all these maybe splinter groups and such. And I had to be aggressive. I had to be aggressive to show these folks what we meant business by being public. We went behind the scenes and, we did this information and such. So, I mean, I think it's just people just don't want to follow black folks. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that, that's popular. So I don't know.
Yeah. So
even other black folks.
I was just going to ask you that. So even other people of color are
Because I've been because a lot of white folks hit me up. I'm well received by those who understood what was going on. They know exactly what I was talking about. They're like, yo, you're exactly right. And I saw this a while ago, but because we were all following the same people, myself included, following these leaders of social equity.
What do you think they're afraid of following you instead of following, even, maybe in their heart, they believe what you're doing is the right thing, or, what's the risk there?
Well, one of the things is I'm not trying to have nobody follow me. I created a lane out of necessity because I was trying to make sure my family, and I was supposed to eat off of this social equity stuff, try to make sure my family ate, and nobody created a lane for us. Nobody created a lane for us to succeed. Actually, they stole our lane. They stole the priority status. So it was serious to me. So I had to create a lane, and the lane that I created was, through the information that we put together, through the stuff to give them a reason to respect what they said they would give us. So I guess that you can call that leadership. And my wife did that. My wife, did that. So, we didn't come here to be no leaders or come here to be public figures, but if there's nobody leading, then you have to step up. Somebody got to step up. I'm not going to not get my opportunity because nobody want to step up. And then, so when I stepped up and created a lane and started talking about all the stuff, my wife and everybody else started talking about stuff too, which is good. They don't have to join me or whatever have you. But in terms of the highest ideal, the highest ideal right now for the program is the PIES program. We created a hybrid incubator program. It's called PIES, PIES. So when you talk to these people, they don't have any solutions. They don't have any solutions as to what they should do next or what we should do next. So, I'm not going to dumb myself down. My wife is not going to dumb herself down to make people feel comfortable. We're going to keep on being stellar, being amazing, and making sure we get this opportunity. And the PIES program is so that a lot of people can be incubated. All EEs can be incubated through the PIES program, and SEs and such. But
so is the PIES, just to ask you a question about the PIES program, is that is a type of education? Is it a curriculum? What are they gaining?
It's all that. It's education, it's curriculum, it's a seed program, it's an incubator, it's pretty much making the big dog companies, the top 100, take these guys whose priority status they pretty much stole, and incubate them. Show me how to be a big dog. Show me how to be a healthy, strong, viable, multi-licensed cannabis entrepreneur. Somebody has to show me that. Somebody has to show me that.
Is this similar to like kind of like those accelerator programs? I think similar to what Sierra
Yep,
Natural.
yep, exactly. That's where
Gotcha.
that's where the E is, Excel. So
Gotcha.
Pies is pairing. Excuse me. The P is pairing. The I is incubator. The E is Excel, like Excel. Excel.
Yeah, I got you.
Then E-rate, you know what I'm saying? And then the seed, the S is the seed. The seed, so the funding and such.
Yeah.
So
who's providing the education? Who's funding the project? I'm just curious to know where's the words coming from? The learning, the books, everything, the materials.
It would be from these individual companies.
Gotcha. So you're making relationships with some of these other companies who you feel have somewhat stolen your equity and pathway.
And not just that, I feel like this was what we were supposed to have in the beginning. I feel like these relationships were supposed to be fostered. So
yeah,
I'm forcing these relationships, in the beginning, any SE or EE that was anywhere close to one of these RMDs or MSOs, they were pretty much a curse word. They were derogatorized in the Boston Globe. All types of negative stuff about these individuals. So these are people we have to work with, and these big businesses, they have a lot to offer us, for us trying to enter into this market. Somebody has to teach us, and the vendors and such, they haven't been, these are not business folks and such. So, we've been getting poor service and poor service models to emulate in the industry. Who are we supposed to emulate? Why would we want to emulate these folks who are not in the industry? Why wouldn't we want to emulate these folks making hundreds of $millions in the industry?
I absolutely love what you're saying, and I respect that 100%, because I feel like people would be ridiculed. I mean, I'm sure community members would come down on you if they found out you were taking part in something like this, just because it feels like maybe they're getting in the bed with the devil or something crazy like that, like where, a lot of people look at these bigger companies as the enemy. But I'm a believer in the relationship as well. I mean, that was my whole motivation to starting this show, was just talk to people, build relationships, and see what comes of it. And so I love what you just said.
I don't really know any other type of America, but like, so these guys tried something and I caught you. I'm like, hey, I caught you. That's wrong what you guys just did. Hey, just because I caught you, now you guys have to do this for us. It's business. They tried. It's been successful in other states. I like to say the buck stops here in Massachusetts. I hate to get into it, but what they did was demonstrative. They uplifted an entire revenue stream and put it in their corporation's pockets. And I don't want to inflame the Massachusetts residents even more, but Massachusetts should be in an uproar. You understand? This is bigger than just EEs and SEs who didn't get in the industry. This is 100+ operators who were let in our industry, and each of them have at least 3 licenses. So you're talking about 300 licenses that's in our industry right now.
Yeah. I mean, that obviously that number keeps popping up too. It's like, the 190, the 194 to the 8 or the 9. It's just, it's incredible. I mean, obviously, clearly there's some failure in the program, if in fact it's supposed to be this 1-to-1. I mean,
and I don't have an issue with MSOs, but they should have came after residents, not before residents. They demanded a seat before residents. So now they're doing a lot of things to try to get residents in and stuff. But, the fact still remains, the lane that we created for EEs is big enough for all EEs. You're talking about 100% ownership of your company. Why is that why does anybody see that negative? So
you're talking about the PIES program. You graduate from the PIES program. You come out with all the skills that you need to run a business or to be a part of something, make yourself some money or make a living, and you own 100% of it. But all you sacrificed was what? Time, energy, and you built friendships or relationships with other people. That's doesn't seem like much of a risk there.
Yeah, these companies also actually give you a building. They give you a building or rent you a building or work out some type of situation where you can have a lease.
Mhm.
So they handle the HCAs, which is another monster.
Mhm.
Vicente Sederberg, they have 50, after writing our legislation, they went and grabbed 50 plus HCAs.
Mhm.
So, I want to work with Vicente Sederberg. So I'm a businessman. I want to get into business, but I call these folks out. Now it's time to let the little guy come in and actually gain some power in this structure.
Mhm.
And I think that's what we're doing. That's what, any self-respectable person who wants to be respected in the industry, they got to get some type of power for themselves in that industry.
Where is the PIES program at the moment? Are we talking like a number of individuals that have graduated through it and are starting in that sort of business building
No.
process? Or
Right now, all the PIES program it's been presented to the Cannabis Advisory Board.
Mhm.
And they have stages and stuff that they got to go through. So right now we're looking for companies that want to participate in it. So we're starting our trade org. We're starting a trade org this month. Our trade org will be up and going, and we hope to be able to get with some companies, MSOs, RMDs, local RMDs, who want to start running our pilot for the PIES program. So we haven't even ran a pilot for it yet.
Gotcha. What do you got there?
Some sativa that I picked up from Pure Oasis the other day.
Nice.
There you go.
When I asked you of who your role model was, I was actually wondering if you were going to mention Kobe, if he was someone that you looked up to as well.
Well, I haven't ever even spoke to Kobe, so it's hard for me to look up to folks that I never really spoke to.
Gotcha.
But the dude's spot is beautiful, man. I went over there. Pure Oasis is beautiful. Beautiful folks, are beautiful black folks up in there, man. If you love looking at beautiful black folks, go over there to Pure Oasis. You understand?
You talking the customers or the employees?
The employees, the customers, the flow. It's really beautiful,
Yeah.
man. Opposed to other places, it's really clinical and real strict, and it was a real nice flow there. I liked it, man. Real nice flow. But yeah, I don't what Kobe did is definitely inspirational. He was one of the only EEs to make it through thus far. I think there's a couple other EEs.
I think there's 3 possibly.
Yeah. But but he's definitely that's definitely inspirational. That means like, hey, we all can do it.
So where do you see your lane heading right now at this point? Is it the PIES program? Is that really kind of your headlights? That's what you're leading with?
Man, I'm behind the scenes. We behind the scenes. They told us to grow up. They chose to grow up, get us lobbyists and get some lawyers and get an organization. So we growing up.
Yeah.
And we're doing our behind the scenes thing. That's our future. It's strong arm style. You got to take it. And I'm here to take it.
Yeah.
I took a lot of risks. With marijuana, I risked my freedom. I did a lot of stuff with marijuana, and I'm not about to stop now.
So what do you got going on for the rest of the night?
I don't know, man. I don't know. What time is it? It's 9:30. I'm actually going. It's 9:30. It's actually early night. I might try this product out tonight. I might
Say that again.
I might try this product out tonight.
Oh, the Purient.
Purient. I might try the Purient out tonight.
Yeah, you got to give us a review. Text me that.
So what sport do you do?
Currently, I'm just doing regular weightlifting at this point. I was mostly a basketball, football guy all through high school, did a little bit of college. And then afterward, I'm just messing around at this point. Okay. So, I'm just trying to stay healthy. That's really what it is. I'm trying to keep the lungs going and the heart pumping. That's my goal.
A lot of people don't notice though. Football is a form of martial arts.
Sure.
You know, it
I
shows
mean,
you how to take actually hits, you know, to the body and everything else like that, blows and such. It's definitely a form of martial arts.
totally. I mean, like the discipline too is something that I always because I was a walk on the football team. You know, I never had that. I didn't do like Pop Warner and like play all the way through like middle school. I just jumped on in my freshman year in high school. I'm like, I'm just gonna play this sport,
Mm-hmm.
and it definitely teaches you a certain level of discipline because you know it's you know you're a you know you're a 13, 14-year-old kid and you're on a field with grown men. You know, the people that you know the difference in the size of a human being from 14 to like 17 is dramatic, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working as a receiver, but like a lot of the people,
Mm-hmm.
the linemen you're fighting through, man, these guys are just like massive. And so it teaches you a mindset of how to protect yourself, like you're saying, like the defense, but it also teaches you how to be offensive, how to move around, how to use your agility, and then obviously the skill comes into play. I wasn't a very skilled player. I was just a hard worker. So I mean, that's always been my case.
Yeah.
I was never the most talented of anything, but I just kept going. So that's what keeps me going today. Just keep moving the body, keep you know keep things limber.
Yeah,
What do
definitely,
you
definitely.
what are you doing for yourself health wise?
Everything, man, everything. Colon cleanses. You do colon cleanses?
No, that
You gotta
sounds
do
awful. What is that?
colon cleanses when you take that little tube and you take. Well, I guess depending on where you go, but the ones that you do at your home, you have a
Yeah.
bag. Have you ever seen those red bags? Those hot water bags.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
you're telling me it just goes right into that bag?
you take no. You take that bag, you
Oh,
fill it up with some water. You take that bag, you hang it on your doorknob in your bathroom.
oh
You
my
take your nice
God.
little, you take your blanket, put your blanket down. You take the tube, and then you get a nice little comfortable position. Get your nice little lube. Put that tube there. Let that water come in your stomach, and you know you'll have the best crap you ever had in your life, man. And you need to start. I've been doing them probably for like 10 years now, man, and that's how I stay young. You know, colon
So,
cleanse.
who taught you that, and why? Why is that? I mean, that just seems.
Wow.
I mean, that's obviously not something that is. It seems like in the mainstream. Like we're not talking
Well,
about the.
I was like 240 pounds. I was doing heavy weightlifting. I had
Yeah.
wrestled, and I wanted to start competing. I wanted to start doing mixed martial arts.
Nice.
So, and I was getting diabetic shock, and I was benching like 400 and some odd pounds, and I was squatting over 1,000 pounds,
Hmm.
but I wasn't healthy. And so I started researching, and then this health guru I was talking to was explaining to me about the colon and teaching me all about the colon and your intestine and such. And then I was like, okay, boom, I need that. And they was like, okay, where do I go get that pill at? And they was like, no, you have to do this. I was like, what? It's the same thing I just described to you. I was
Yeah.
like, no, hell no. What the hell are you talking about? That's not natural. No. So after 6 months of studying the plaque of the colon
Yeah.
and everything else, I did it. And it was amazing. It's like the fountain of youth.
So
And
is
I've
it
been
like
doing it.
is it the bacteria? What are you actually trying to flush out? Is it just all of the
all of the dead
sediment?
all of the dead food, all of the processed food, because of the stuff that's created in labs, the body
Yeah.
doesn't readily recognize. So it doesn't recognize it to push it out.
Mm,
It doesn't recognize it as waste or food. It just sits
hmm.
in your colon.
Yeah.
And then plaque and all that stuff. So years and years of plaque and the nutrients and stuff that you're not getting from the food, anything that you're having, even like, so like, you know, a slender guy like yourself, like say you might have knee or joint problems, colon
Hmm.
cleanse, even hair
Hmm.
loss or anything, colon cleanse, you know,
Hmm.
it all goes back down to what you're getting in your diet, that gut,
Hmm.
your intestine.
Yeah. So what are you putting back in your body? What is your food plan looking like these days?
Uh, Alkaline foods, you want to do a good salad a day. What you putting back in your body, that's kind of like up to you. You know, I've had yoga instructors who ate red meat and steaks, but they colon cleanse.
Hmm.
So, you know, me, I don't. I stopped eating red meats in like the third grade and such. But I
Hmm.
do eat fish and seafood right now. But there's times and periods in the year that I don't eat any seafood, just plant based diets and such.
Hmm. And how's your health overall?
Good. I'm amazing, man. I feel amazing, man. I be doing jump. I do John Claude Van Damme splits. You know.
Nice.
I still feel good. I still feel like I can beat up everybody on the planet. You know? And you know, so I'm
A
still
lot of it's in the mind too. You stay young
Yeah.
in the mind, you stay young in the body.
Yep. So I'm just here ready to get beat up by one of these little young boys out here that's in place, embarrass me.
So
Then I'll be like, okay, that's enough. I'm done. You know.
so are you still practicing martial arts?
Oh
You're in the
yeah.
gym?
I still
Getting the
practice.
mat?
I'm not a part of no gym. I'm not a part of a team. That's my goal.
Yeah.
To be a part of a gym, to get a part of that again. That's my lifestyle, my family, my children through
Mhm.
martial arts.
Hmm.
So my goal is to get my family in a nice someplace I feel comfortable for us to all be and do martial arts and just to compete.
Yeah, that's awesome. I never got involved in martial arts. You know, like I've had some great friends who were in the mixed martial arts. Someone was in like, you know, more of the grappling. Someone was in more of the stance fighting and jujitsu. But I don't know. I never picked it up. I don't know what that was. I don't know if that was like, you know, I'm relatively tall. So I always thought that like the people who are getting close to the ground needed to be shorter and stockier. So maybe, and then also when I got older, it was always the fear of injury. You know, when I would talk to my boys who are involved in those activities, they were, you know, they've got the cauliflower ear, or they've got the torn this, or they've got the broken that. So it's like, I guess that kind of just like, you know, deterred me from doing it. But like, I guess, you know, at this point with 3 kids, you know, personal protection is hugely important. You know, every time I'm with my kids, no matter where I am, I'm always looking at my surroundings. I'm always trying to pay attention, and I'm always like, you know what, I'm a strong dude and I'm fearless. I'll fucking kill someone if I have to, if that's going to be to protect my family. But at the same time, I have no idea how to handle myself if it came to a weapon or if it came to any type of a person who knows what the fuck they're doing. So so I'm still to this day considering it, but I don't know.
You have to learn it. I started off with I guess I started off street fighting, just regular fighting, and then I learned wrestling. I started wrestling around 12, at a little PAL thing, and then junior high, it was 13. They started offering it, but as I gotten older, wrestling is not for really older men; it's for kind of young men. So so I started studying more of the arts, even Muay Thai, which is more of a young man sport. But Taekwondo you can do as you older, and different sports, different fighting styles that have a more feminine energy to it that you can do. It's not a masculine bone crushing, takes physical strength to do it. So I try to incorporate those things because those things will always keep you dangerous. You know,
the spirituality of the sport also is very fascinating to me. Clearly, it goes back like thousands and thousands of years. So that connection is somewhat interesting. Are you a religious guy?
I'm not religious. Religion
No.
stands for regular God, you know, but I'm a spiritual man. I actually was a spiritual teacher. I still am a spiritual teacher. I teach. If somebody asks me questions, and I still have, you know, students, but I actually was an ordained minister for a while. You know, I taught as a Christian pastor, and I left the Christian church and went into the sciences, and then got into African spirituality and other spiritual systems in South America and the Haitian spiritual systems and such. So yeah, you know, I'm a spiritual man. I don't do religion, and I actually used to teach and still do teach.
So the people that are looking for your education, how do they find you? Is just you just start a conversation, you pick something up, and then you just keep going?
I'm not really too much teaching right now. So my friends right now, they come to me, and then I have some old students who come to me and ask me questions and such, but I'm not really accepting students. I don't really have anything to give any more than what I've already given. So that's why I kind of walked away. I'm really a spiritual person. Sometimes, you know, you can get trapped into leading people and then you want to lead people because you're in the front. So I didn't have that issue, you know, with my ego. So, you know, it's easier not to lead people. You don't have to be responsible for how you act and be and such.
So Maur, it's interesting to me because a lot of the different discussions that we've had so far tonight, it all sounds to me like a lot of people are somewhat placing you, or you accidentally fall into a place of leadership. But then you tend to also kind of back away from that, maybe even not wanting the responsibility. So do you feel comfortable? Do you feel comfortable being a leader if you had to be?
Well, as long as I could be myself. But I think my wife is a lot more you know, more politically correct, and I'm not going to do politically correct for anybody, so I'm past that part. You know, I don't think I could be what people want on that level. You know.
So you're saying that when you say politically correct, you mean that like your words would your words might be heavily charged. Your words might offend people.
To me, it's too real. What's going on? It's just too real to play games with folks. So, if somebody asks me a question, I'm going to give them the answers. So
Yeah.
it's just that real. And I have myself, my family, my friends have really been affected by this. And it's really deeper than just really people being arrested. The trauma to the families around it. And then, like I just said, one of the biggest problems is school systems. My wife was a school teacher for years, and education is important. I was pretty much kicked out of the school systems and told that I wasn't able to be educated. I wasn't I didn't fit the constructs, and that wasn't true. I love information. I learned to read and to get more information. Like I was sounding out words when I was 21 years old. So here it is. I was a star athlete in school, and I was pushed through school and pushed out of the education part of school because they told me I couldn't get that. And they told me I failed school. And
So what were they basing that on? I mean, there had to be some sort of evaluation at some point where they said this guy's not a good match for us. Like what was that?
I never fit. I never fit since day one. Since day one, I remember it was really traumatic because I was a child and I was a young child, 8 years old. And it used to be traumatic because I couldn't stay out of the principal's office. I was always getting suspended. I was always my energy was whatever. So I never fit. And I think one of the things that alienates Black children is the fact there's no Black characters in the history books that we're looking to that they're talking about. And I think there's so much more Black, white, Spanish, whatever, red, whatever color you are. There's so many more different types of people, than those small little boxes that they try to put you in school. So I think that hurts a lot of us as a society, because you're hurting folks,
So what's your wife motivation at this point? Because we haven't spoken too much about her, and I don't want you to have to speak for her, but I'd love to meet her at some point if possible. But
my wife is a big, like I said, before cannabis, my wife was in advocacy over there at the education department. She was doing policy under the Obama administration, and over there in Boston at this Boston whatever school, something. Forgive me, I can't.
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
But she was doing policy work over there, and she ended up uncovering some things over there, and ended up having some issues that went to MCAT, and they're still having those same issues over there, those racial inequity issues that she uncovered over there. So she was doing advocacy work over there, and she still is. She still remains a staple for those folks going through it over there in Boston right now, still to this day. So,
was it your interest in cannabis that led her to do it with you here in this space?
Definitely, my wife is a genius. She found the economic empowerment. I didn't know nothing about it. I honestly, after I was arrested in 2016, that's when we got into real estate more so heavily. And, I started taking these educational classes on wholesaling and investing and stuff, and started learning how to do that, and started providing a small community with real estate services and such. But, I was kind of, I was done with marijuana like that from that standpoint. And my wife found the economic empowerment stuff and found it and it filled it out, and we got it. So.
What was her goal in filing for the license? She just wanted to open up a business. That was the plan.
They see how much a part of it is with my life, like literally it's a part of my life, even though I'm a victim of marijuana mass incarceration. Outside of that, it's a part of my life. So even if there weren't any other benefits from the business aspect. So when I got arrested in 2016, I was a caregiver. I had my caregiver's license. So, I was trying to participate, at the rate that the state was going up. So I already was participating, in I guess the illicit market, the gray market, and such. So, but her motivation was, to get me over here. I love marijuana. This is my dream. That's what I do.
I'm sure
I
she's gonna love
grow.
that. I'm sure she's gonna love the fact that you called her a genius. I
Yeah,
mean,
she
my
is
wife's my genius too. I can't.
yeah, yo, they are. They got to be smarter than us, man. You know,
Absolutely,
you're a real smart man if you pick a woman that's smarter than you. You know, that's what you have to
totally.
do to survive this world. You know. But
So
yeah, I grow too. I do hydro. I was gorilla growing in 2008. I've been all up Highway 5 with this. You know, I've been all over the place. You know, secret indictments, feds, all that. You know, everything. So the excitement, I've been around it my whole life. So you know.
how far do you how far away do you think you are from achieving your goal? You and your
Oh,
wife's goal.
we're here. We're here. I think we're here, man. Um, I'm still a big believer in the social equity. You know, I'm a still big believer in that, and I'm gonna fight for it, even if nobody else believes in it. You know, but we're here. We're here.
What does success look like with the equity program?
Wow, wow, a tangible minority participation in licensing. You know, so with the PIES program, we said in 18 months we would be at 20% at minority participation in licensing. That would be something crazy. That would be a crazy statement for Massachusetts to make. You know, throughout the rest of the country, like, you know, that would be kind of dope.
Where else in the U.S. Is it at that rate, or what's the highest? I guess what's the participation of EE
Well, you know,
applicants?
Oakland has something really cool, and that's what we base some of our PIES program for Oakland. Oakland has a mandatory incubator in their PIP, positive impact plan program. So
Mhm.
we took a little bit from here and took a little bit over there. But Oakland has gave out a lot of a handful of licenses. I know they're also going through some other things over there, but Oakland.
The positive influence plan is just to educate some of our listeners who might not know what that means. So, can you describe what that is? What does that mean?
So the reason why marijuana was legalized was because uh, due in part to marijuana mass incarceration. They said that there was a certain part demographic of America who were being abused by these unfair marijuana laws. So the positive impact plans is one of those things. As we open up, as a responsible state opens up, as any state should open up, they should be thinking about the harm done to those folks. You know, so the positive impact plans are to address that. So right now you have positive impact plan money going to animal shelter. I'm laughing, but it's not funny. But you have it going to animal shelters. You have it going to all types of things that that doesn't affect the people who were affected by, you know,
Is that
the
is
war
that
on
typical?
drugs.
Is that typically nationwide, or that's just you're talking specifically about the PIP in
Massachusetts,
Massachusetts? Yeah.
yes. Hmm.
So basically, a lot of these corporations who are getting into the industry ahead of the EE applicants are creating these PIP plans, so it looks good. You know, they get into good relationships with the towns. They get their licenses. They think, you know, everyone's thinking this money is going toward the cause it was designed for, but in fact, it's just getting
Well,
diluted into these other places.
what they told the Massachusetts residents that, hey, you know what? Wait, we have to let these folks who were harmed by the war on drugs, we have to let them go in. So this was what these 2 years and 3 years was about, but they actually kind of sold it away to big business.
Mhm.
So, you know, they cut the line between Massachusetts residents and those harmed in Mass, because EEs are and SEs are from Massachusetts. So they cut the line between Massachusetts residents, you know, all of us.
And the 20%, I mean, that to you seems like a lofty goal. That would be like a huge. I mean,
It's
obviously
it's
the
it's a heartfelt goal because it's minorities, but minority could be anything.
Mhm.
You know, it really happened to black and brown folks. You understand me?
Mhm.
The war on mass incarceration, marijuana mass incarceration, they use it as a reason to target us, as a reason to arrest us. And it's actually still happening to our children right now in Massachusetts. They're targeting children. So just like I was targeted as a child,
Mhm.
they're still doing the same. It's the same recipe, you know, with the task force and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even with all of the sort of decrim and like legalizing marijuana, these you're saying that some of these things just have had zero impact on the community. You're seeing just young guys young kids just getting arrested for the same things you guys were getting arrested for 20, 30
Well,
years ago.
yeah, definitely. I saw it in Colorado first, and then I told them that it was coming here because I was like the before the arrest, before they came out with the statistics about the arrest rate in Colorado, how it increased by 50% in black and brown neighborhoods. I told them because I was in Colorado, I used to get weed out of Colorado, and I used to be able to deal with a family, and I used to be able to get what I need to get out of there. When they went legal and they opened up all these stores, you couldn't get nothing out of there. Everybody was scared. The whole environment change was really intense. A lot of people were getting arrested. And I'm like, well, what the hell is going on? So I was like, hey, when they go legal, they're arresting people more.
Hmm.
And I started saying that in Massachusetts. And, you know, and lo and behold, the numbers came out about Colorado. The arrest rate increased by 50%. And I was like, the same thing's coming here. And lo and behold, the ACLU report said the arrest rate had increased.
And so, I mean, does it make you think that this whole thing was a setup to try to arrest more kids, or what I guess I'm trying to understand from the others'
Well,
perspective.
it's, did you see my book, Massachusetts Jumping Jim Crow for Cannabis? Massachusetts Jumping Jim Crow for Cannabis.
I'm going to check it out.
White and black cannabis. White and black cannabis. You know, it's capitalism. So you have this billion-dollar industry on locking people up.
Yeah.
You know, they're not ready to let that go. And then you have another billion-dollar industry of making money off of cannabis. So to me, I'm calling them out on it. I call it Jim Crow cannabis. And you know, the black cannabis, you're still getting arrested for it. And you know, white cannabis, you're making all this money off it. So
yeah,
that's Colorado.
What's the book? So did you write a book?
Yeah, Massachusetts Jumping Jim Crow for Cannabis.
I didn't see that.
Is
it an ebook or is that it's an ebook?
Yeah. I talk about my secret indictment in 2016. I don't know if you can see that, Massachusetts.
Yeah, perfect. I'll attach it to the video too, so people will check it out.
I talk about my secret indictment in 2016 in Massachusetts because it was legal for everybody else, but here it is. I had a task force. The task force was black and brown men, the police undercover task force. So it was black and brown men, and the head chief, he was a white guy. And so they did an undercover investigation, undercover sting on me, did a drug buy and everything. And you know, it was legal for everybody else, but for me, they had infiltrated my community, man. And still haven't given me my stuff back, still have my property, you know, and everything. So yeah. So I wrote a book and talked about that.
Do you promote that book? What's the motivation for the book then? Just to give people the truth, the message out there that there's still this huge imbalance in the system? Well,
here it is again. You know, there's nobody else around saying it.
Yeah.
And so I want people like myself, the victims of mass incarceration, marijuana mass incarceration, who are articulate to come and speak out. So that was my duty to speak out. You know, with all this privilege, you have to say something. You have to do something. So that's how I live, and that's how I eat. You know, I make sure I do what I'm supposed to do when I see some wrong, and the ancestors always make sure they take care of me.
Maur, I really appreciated your time, man. I feel like I learned a lot. I especially learned a lot about you. You know, I didn't know much about you, and this was, I really appreciated everything that you shared. So thank you so much for opening up with us.
Yeah, man, no problem, man. You know, it was I don't even know why all this interest in me, so I appreciate it, you know.
You know what it is for me, it's always been energy, man. I guess I get attracted to it, you know, so wherever it's coming from, I just follow the lead. And you know, you were putting a lot out there. I watched your videos, I was watching your live streams, and I guess I heard something, I felt something, and I'm like, you know what, I just want to know a little bit more about Maur and what's making this guy tick. And like you shared so much tonight. So like, thank you. And I can't wait to have you back on.
That's
and maybe
you need to let me run you through some self-defense classes, man.
Oh, totally.
You'll
be able to kick the crap out of me. Don't worry.
No, I just want to show you how to be dangerous, man.
Because
you already have some good foundation in your football, in your athleticism, and in your height. You know, your height, and it's a lot of things I can show you what to do with that height.
All right, man. Let's meet up. Let's do it, and then we can go to Pure Oasis afterward. You can show me that way too.
Yeah. Chocolate City.
Nice. All right, Maur. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it again, and peace. And we'll talk soon. Okay.
Appreciate you. Thank you for having me, man.
Appreciate you as well. Thank you. God bless.
Yep.
I thought that was a very effective episode. I learned a ton. I did. And I can't wait to talk to him again. I love the energy. I love what he's saying. I'm very happy that he came on. I know that a lot of people will be very disappointed that he spoke on the show, but man, that guy, everyone's got a path, man, and I'm interested in exploring all those different areas that the people are trying to head in, because, like I said, it all seems to be heading in a single direction, which is just cannabis, man, and trying to see the full potential of that plant. So, peace, everyone. Thanks for sticking around. Super Lemon Haze, motherfuckers.
What is this?
Is it over?
We're running out of time.
I don't want to hear your excuses. No, it's not fair. Where'd all the files go?